Chosen one, take a breath. This moment, this message is not random. You didn't stumble here by mistake. And I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to awaken something your soul has long been waiting to remember. You were supposed to be gone. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Death came for you and passed you by. Today, I'll tell you why. But first, let me ask you something deeply personal. Have you ever looked back on a moment and thought, I shouldn't be alive right now? Maybe you felt time slow down, as if something unseen stepped in. A near accident, a violent place you left just in time, a sickness that should have broken you, but didn't. Or maybe it was the storm inside your own mind, the one that nearly consumed you. And yet, here you are, still breathing, still standing, for a reason. If any of that stirs something in your chest, if you felt the chill of death brush past you and still you're here breathing, then listen very carefully. You are not ordinary. You are a chosen one. And what I'm about to tell you has the power to shift your entire understanding of your life, your pain, and your purpose. This is not a coincidence. This video found you because your spirit has reached a point where truth must break through the noise. You've been feeling it already, haven't you? That sense that there's something more, something hidden just under the surface, that your path has been stranger than most, that you've escaped what others did not. That's not imagination. That's not luck. That's divine protection. Chosen ones walk a path marked by war in the unseen. The enemy tried to take you early because it saw what you would become. But God, the universe, the source of light, whatever you call it, stepped in and said, and here you are. Now let me be bold and tell you straight. Your survival wasn't just mercy, it was strategy. Your death was delayed because your destiny could not be denied. Your spiritual purpose is tied to events that haven't even unfolded yet. You were kept here because the mission needs you. This world needs what's in you. And the timing had to be perfect. And it is. This is the exact moment where your memory begins to return. Not your mind's memory, but your soul's memory. The reason you've been feeling that pull, that strange silence before change, is because heaven's timeline is catching up to you. And now the veil is lifting. You've already survived what should have destroyed you. That's your confirmation. Now it's time to understand why. Before we go further, I want you to do something. If this message already feels like it's speaking directly to you, I want you to comment 333 below. Let the spiritual realm see that you're awake and aware. And subscribe to my channel so you never miss a message that's meant for your soul. Hit the bell icon and share this with someone else who you know was kept alive for something greater. Because this isn't just about you. It's about all of us who were pulled from the edge for a divine reason. I'm not just speaking from theory. I've lived through it, and I've watched too many others walk through fire and still wonder why they're not burned. It's time you stop questioning your survival and start understanding it. Because this message isn't random, it's revelation. Chosen one. I don't care if the world thinks you're late. Spirit says you're on time, right on time. Your spiritual purpose has been protected. Your destiny has been delayed, but not denied. And now, you're about to remember who you are and why death couldn't touch you. Let's begin. Music. What is divine protection? And why do you keep escaping death? Chosen one. Have you ever wondered how you're still here? How you made it through things that should have broken you, ended you, or at the very least left you destroyed? You didn't just survive on your own strength. You were covered, watched, guarded. This is what we call divine protection. Divine protection isn't luck. It's not random chance. It's not because you were smarter or stronger than others. It's because something higher, something beyond the physical, placed its hand on your life, and said, "Not yet." You were not meant to die in that moment, because your purpose was still unfolding. Many chosen ones are born into environments that seem designed to destroy them. Dysfunctional homes, dangerous neighborhoods, sickness, trauma. The chaos begins early. It's almost like life starts with a storm. But even in those storms, there were moments where something invisible held you up. You might not have noticed it then, but look back. Really look. There were close calls, times when everything should have gone wrong. But something shifted, something interfered. That was divine protection. Divine protection is the spiritual covering placed over a soul with assignment. When your life has been marked for purpose, especially a purpose that affects others, awakens others or challenges darkness, you become a target. But you also become protected. The universe, the divine God, it doesn't send chosen ones into this world unequipped. You are watched from the moment you enter. You are known even before you're aware of yourself. And death, it has tried. Oh yes, it has. But it was denied access. Not because you prayed the right words. Not because you did everything right, but because your timeline didn't allow for your exit. There are still missions within you. There are still people you must speak to, heal, activate. There are still doors you must open that no one else can. Divine protection also works through intuition. That inner nudge that says, "Don't go there." The sudden delay that irritates you, but later you find out there was danger. The last-minute change of plans that saved your life. That wasn't coincidence. That was your spiritual team, your guides, your protection doing their job, keeping you aligned with your delayed destiny. Chosen one, the reason you keep escaping death isn't because death didn't notice you. It saw you. It tried. But divine order outranked it. You are not here by accident. You are still alive because heaven is investing in you. And when heaven invests, it protects. Even in your darkest moments when you felt abandoned, unseen, unworthy, there was still a barrier between you and total destruction. You may have felt broken, but something was always standing between you and the final blow. You may have cried yourself to sleep, but something was standing guard. That is divine protection. And let me tell you something deeper. Protection doesn't always feel like comfort. Sometimes it feels like pain, delays, isolation. But that isolation kept you from certain traps. That delay kept you from wrong alignments. That pain built your discernment. Protection isn't always soft. Sometimes it's sharp and holy and full of fire, but it always guards your essence. So next time you think you made it out by accident, remember there are no accidents for the chosen ones, only divine strategy. You didn't just survive, you were spared, you were set apart, and now that you know, it's time to walk like someone who has been covered by something greater, because death already tried you, and it failed. First escape. The spiritual attack you survived unknowingly. Chosen one. Let me take you back to the first time death reached for you and missed. You probably didn't even know what was happening at the time. You were too young, too distracted, too unaware of the unseen realm. But the truth is, your life was under attack, long before you ever realized you were chosen. This first escape wasn't just physical, it was spiritual. A war was declared on your soul the moment your spirit entered this realm. Some of you were attacked in the womb. Complications during pregnancy, near miscarriages, birth trauma. Others were attacked in early childhood. Sickness, accidents, abuse, strange illnesses that doctors couldn't fully explain. You may have thought it was just part of life, but it wasn't. It was an attempt to silence your light before it could rise. Spiritual attacks often come early for those with a heavy calling. Why? Because darkness doesn't wait for you to grow.
It tries to abort your mission before you ever find your voice. Before you even know what spiritual purpose means, the enemy already sees it glowing in your soul. So it moves fast, but divine protection moves faster. Let me be very clear. This wasn't just about harm, it was about spiritual assassination. The enemy doesn't fear your personality. It fears your destiny. It fears the power of your future voice, your future healing gift, your future authority. So it came at you when you were unarmed. But even then, heaven stepped in. You may not remember the details, but your spirit does. That near fatal fever. That moment you were choking, and someone walked in just in time. That night terror you had every week as a child. That accident that came out of nowhere. The unseen world tried to pull you out through fear, confusion, or premature sickness, and yet you're still here. Why? Because your timeline couldn't be interrupted. Your contract with this earth wasn't up. You were spiritually coded to survive that first attack, because your spiritual purpose hadn't even begun to unfold yet. Divine protection surrounded you like a cloak, even when no one around you understood who you were. Some of you were marked children. You were always different, sensitive to people's emotions, dreams that came true, seeing shadows others couldn't, feeling energies in rooms before anyone spoke. That wasn't imagination, it was your early awakening. And that awakening made you a target, but it also made you untouchable. The spiritual attack failed not because it didn't have force, but because heaven had already claimed you. This escape was your first sign, even if you didn't recognize it. A moment when Spirit said, "Not yet, not this one." It may have looked like a recovery, like you just got better, like help showed up just in time. But behind the scenes, angels were warring. Your ancestors were interceding. The energy around you was shifting, because death was being denied access to your soul. And here's something even deeper. This first escape activated something in you. It opened a portal. You may have noticed after that close call your life felt different. You sensed things, saw signs, developed a deep inner world. That's because your near-death moment wasn't just an escape. It was an awakening, a spiritual recalibration. You didn't just walk away alive. You didn't just walk away alive. You walked away touched, marked, watched, chosen one. The first time death missed you, your path was sealed in light. You became a moving piece in the divine design. And from that moment, nothing would be the same again. So if you've ever wondered why life felt so intense from the very beginning, why things were always heavier for you, know this. It's because you survived what others didn't. And not by accident. Comment 777. If this brings back a memory or a feeling you can't explain, because your soul knows exactly what I'm talking about. That first escape wasn't random. It was your spiritual initiation, and you were never the same again. It was your spiritual initiation, and you were never the same again. Second escape, the emotional or mental collapse that didn't win. Chosen one. The second time death reached for you, it didn't come through a car crash, or a cardiac sickness. This time it came in silence. It came through despair. This was a spiritual assassination assembly stamped from the inside, not against your body but against your mind, your emotion. Your emotions, your will to live. Maybe you remember it clearly. Maybe you've tried to forget. But there was a time when the weight on your soul was too heavy. When you were isolated, empty, tired in a way that sleep couldn't fix. You didn't want to be here anymore, and you may not have told anyone. You may have smiled on the outside, worked your job, laughed with friends, but deep inside something was dying. Truth. Deep inside, something was dying. The will to fight was dying. The will to fight was dying. The will's the real battle. And many people didn't even notice you were in. This escape was spiritual psycholos, not the emotional. The state of the threat. The enemy saw that the first attack didn't take you out, so it changed tactics. It whispered lies instead of bullets. It planted seeds of self-loathe instead of bullets. It planted seeds of self-hate. It tried to drain you with toxic relationships. In this anxiety was things hidden from what, who you were. It fed you darkness, disguised as numbness. And for a while, you may have believed it. Some of you were in abusive situations that crushed your spirit. Others battled years of depression. Others were worn down by loneliness. So deep it made the world feel like an empty shell. But still you survived. You made it out. And even if you were crawling, you came through. This was not just survival. You made it out. And even if you were crawling, you came through. This was not just survival. This was sacred resistance. Chosen one, do you know how return from that returns? That dark night of the soul where nothing makes sense. And everything feels fake. Where you question your worth, your purpose, your very existence. Where you question your worth, your purpose, your very existence. When you stayed there, but you didn't. You were pulled out. Something reached inside the pit and grabbed you before you went too far. And it wasn't your own potential. It was divine protection. Your mental collapse protection. Your mental collapse didn't win because your spiritual purpose was stronger than your suffering. And even in your silence, heaven heard you. The tears that no one saw recorded. The praise you didn't even have the words to say or understood. Angels don't wait for perfect speech. They move at the sound of broken speech. So move at the sound of broken surrender. There was a moment, maybe small, maybe hidden, when surrendered in. There was a moment, maybe small, maybe hidden, when something shifted. A phone call came. A stranger said something kind. Or maybe you just woke up one day and felt a little less heavier than ready. It was a random. Vividly resurrecting. It wasn't random. The divine timing. It was a divine to have. It was a came through. And here's the truth that most people won't speak or won't say what. Emotional and mental pain are so dangerous to throw on your state. Because when your spirit is powerful, the enemy will spirit is powerful. Because when your spirit is powerful, the enemy knows it probably the chaos needs. It has to convince you to give up on yourself. That's the strategy, not discovery with connection. It's the little devil, or the cannibal. If it can't kill you, it will try to silence you, lull you, make you believe that your life doesn't matter. But you didn't let it. And that is the truth. And that's it. And that's who it is. And that's why you're still. And the second escape was internal. And it revealed something powerful. That your mind is a battlefield. It is also a front. You have the ability to stand up even when your soul is tamed. You have the ability to stand up even when your soul is. You can break spiritual chains, he will change it. He will change it. And when the enemy saw you still breathing, still rising, still praying through the pain, the devil said that terrorized something terrifying. He will otherwise, he will unstuck. Again, he will be the couple. He will please. He will full of pack, and he look. He will feed it. He will feel. He will eat it. He will feed it to the rich. He will feed it. He will heal. He will teach the divine protecting the self-healer. He also rescues the life. He will give up warnings. He will watch you to kill your joy, by the sharpened your wisdom. Or he will feed it. He will be killed. He will look. He will look it. He will kill it. He will breathe it. He will look. 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 He will look it. He will look it. He will look. 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 Something. He will look. He will look. He will look. He will look. This was the kind of situation that makes people say you're lucky to be alive. But you and I both know it wasn't luck. It was divine protection, stepping between you and something final. The car missed you by inches. Our surgery had complications. Did you look for it? You entered a space where violence erupted, but somehow walked away untouched. Maybe your body was weak. Maybe you bled. You even bled. Maybe you even passed out. Maybe you even passed on. Something interfered with the final outcome, and that something was right of the final outcome, and that something was not human. When a chosen one is marked by destiny, even death has to ask for permission. His third escape was a moment when the mental and the spiritual collided. You were in danger of breachments. A moment when the shield collided. You were in danger of really direct loss. It wasn't real flesh, fully loaded. It was very big of fleshy rock, purpose for real. Flesh you probably got. Your name could have been written up and written up in silver. So it was not finished, because the contract on your life had a clause, so it's not it. That's why your tongue blight. That is why your tongue bleeds. That's why your tongue line was protected. That's why your heart unity with the retreat, so we did it, so we did this. That's why you woke up after that, it did, so over it, with the right with it. You might even look back now, think once, I didn't look for weeks. In the week relates on me to fill up with 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. It remembers the force field of lights, the force field of lights is on you. It remembers the force field of lights around you. You see, when your spiritual purpose is still active, it will return the follow you to of it. The chosen ones fulfill authority, for you deliver quick for you with the roots. The chosen ones you may seem fragile, but you'll see the figure of beats, for you will take the solid profits. The energy around you bends moments with these trinity around you sequences, so that you arrange your sequences so that you will never read the road to it, slowly to it. And even when it looks on you for it, leave it. This is the kind of escape that leaves you speechless. This is the kind of escape that leaves you speechless. You replay the memory over and try to make sense of it. Maybe you got deeply over the emotional, or deeply emotional, feel a baby love. Or deeply emotional, deeply into it, or to it. You tasted death and then tasted birth again. Again, don't taste the death, it's so that you will take of it. Don't brush it off, it's for your bits, for it, wait. We will need to live with it. We will need to wait. We will need to wait.
Either way, the truth is the same. You were saved. You were caught mid-fall. You were yanked from the mouth of destruction like someone pulling a soul out of fire. And now that you've walked through that door and come back, you carry something different. You're not like the rest anymore. You've crossed through an invisible threshold. You've danced on the line between life and death, and returned with clarity in your eyes. That's why people stare at you sometimes, and don't know why. That's why animals sense you. Why your aura feels electric in certain spaces. Because you carry the residue of survival. Not just survival. Divine escape. So don't hide your story. Tell it. Even if people don't understand it, your spirit will recognize who needs to hear it. Because someone out there is on the edge right now, and your testimony is their lifeline. The physical threat was real. The danger was undeniable. But heaven was faster, and chosen one. This was not the last time death will come close. But it will never come closer than divine permission allows. You've been spared for something extraordinary. And now, your next chapter begins with a truth. No one can take away from you. You were saved on purpose. For purpose, the reason behind all 3 delays. Purpose was greater than pain. Chosen one. Let's bring the truth into full focus. You didn't just survive once. You didn't just escape death twice. You were spared 3 times. and possibly more. Each escape wasn't just mercy, it was design, divine timing, a cosmic strategy written before you were even born. And here's the reason that ties them all together. Your purpose was greater than your pain. Every delay was divine. The first time death tried to take you, it was too early. Your spirit hadn't yet awakened. You were being formed, molded, shielded. The enemy came for you in childhood or youth to kill the seed before it could take root. But heaven said, "This one has a purpose." Not yet. The second time, the collapse came from within. Emotional, mental, spiritual war. You were inches from surrendering to the void. You may have questioned your worth, even wished you could leave, but your purpose whispered louder than your pain. You couldn't see your own light, but the divine could. And the thread that held you together was the same thread tied to your destiny. Then came the third, a physical encounter with danger. Real, raw, undeniable. Something that should have ended your life, and didn't, because your breath still has work to do. Your hands still have healing to offer. Your voice still has awakening to release into the world. And your presence, chosen one, is needed here more than ever. All 3 moments of escape weren't random. They were synchronized interventions. Your soul signed a contract in the heavenly realm, a sacred agreement. I will go, I will awaken, I will carry this light, no matter the storm. That agreement marked you, and the delays in your death were not denials of reality. They were affirmations of assignment. This is why the pain didn't destroy you, not because it wasn't real, it was, but because it was not the end. Your life is not defined by trauma, it's refined by it. Your purpose is not born in comfort, it's forged in fire. And now, with each escape behind you, you carry weight in the spirit that no one else can replicate. You're different now. You've seen what others fear. You've heard the silence that speaks just before your time is up. And yet your heart kept beating. That's not weakness, that's evidence. Evidence that heaven still needs you here. Evidence that your spiritual purpose is greater than anything you've lost. Evidence that your delayed destiny is not forgotten. It's being protected until the appointed moment. Some people spend their whole lives trying to find out if they're chosen. You don't have to wonder. You have the proof written in your timeline, marked by near-death escapes and impossible survivals. The pain didn't happen to punish you. It happened to prepare you. Now you must carry the awareness that every breath you take has meaning. You've been delayed for a reason, and the reason is sacred. Chosen one, comment 777 below if you know deep in your bones that something greater is calling you, that you were meant for more, that all of this, all of it, had a reason, because it did. Your survival was not random. It was a message from heaven. You're not finished. The world still needs what I placed inside you. And now, it's time to rise. What your near-death escapes unlock in you. Chosen one, when you escape death, something shifts in you forever. You don't just walk away with a story. You walk away with an imprint, a spiritual upgrade, a vibration that wasn't there before. These near-death moments are not just about survival. They're about unlocking what was hidden inside you all along. Every close call etched something into your soul. You may not have seen it right away, but afterward, your vision changed, your intuition sharpened, your sensitivity to people, energy, emotions, all of it intensified. Because near-death experiences break the illusion of this physical world, they tear the veil just enough for your spirit to peek through. And once you've glimpsed what's on the other side, you can never go back to sleep.
Surviving a spiritual attack, a mental collapse, or a physical threat opens the gate to spiritual gifts that were dormant before. You begin to feel when something isn't right, not because of logic, but because your soul flinches. You see through lies without effort. You hear things others don't say. You walk into a room and know the atmosphere before anyone speaks. That's not imagination. That's the residue of divine encounters. Because when death misses you, heaven marks you. You might have started noticing patterns, repeating numbers, prophetic dreams, strange synchronicities. You might feel people's true intentions, even when they smile. You may have a deeper pull toward healing, teaching, or protecting others. These aren't random changes. These are spiritual activations triggered by your escape. Near-death moments act like spiritual keys. They open doors to clarity, insight, and connection with the unseen. Chosen one, you're not the same person you were before the attacks. That's intentional. What you went through burned off your distractions. Your spirit got lighter. Your awareness got louder. The distractions that once fooled you now irritate you. The fake people who used to blend in now repel you. That's your new frequency. You've stepped into alignment with your assignment. Not everyone will understand this change. Some will say you're too intense or too quiet now. That's fine. You're not meant to fit where you once survived. Your spirit has been upgraded because your calling has been clarified. You've gone through the fire, and now you carry the flame. Near-death escapes also unlock courage. You may not feel fearless all the time, but something in you knows you've already faced what most people are terrified of.
And you lived. You felt the breath of death, and still walk with breath in your lungs. That kind of knowing gives you boldness, a holy confidence, a silent strength that doesn't need to prove itself. And here's something sacred. After each escape, the divine starts speaking to you more clearly. You hear instructions. You feel guided. You sense divine presence in quiet moments. That's because you've proven you're ready. You've walked close enough to the edge that your heart is tuned to higher frequencies. Now you're not just living, you're listening. So don't ignore the gifts. Don't dismiss the visions, the instincts, the deep inner knowing. They were unlocked in you for a reason. You are not here to just exist. You're here to move with spiritual precision. Your near-death escapes didn't just save your life. They initiated you. They activated you. They crowned you with awareness. And now it's your time to use it. Signs you're walking in a delayed destiny. Chosen one, if you've ever looked at your life and thought, I should be further along by now, this is for you. That feeling of delay, of being out of sync with others, of constantly being almost there but never quite arriving, it's not failure. It's not laziness. It's the sign that you're walking in a delayed destiny. And that delay is divine. Delayed destiny isn't a punishment. It's a form of protection. It's what happens when heaven holds you back just long enough to align everything in your favor. You weren't denied your purpose. It was simply postponed until you were ready, until the world was ready for you, until the moment your spirit had enough wisdom to handle what your calling requires. One of the first signs is the sense of being out of place or out of time. You've always felt older than your age. People your age seem focused on things that feel meaningless to you. While others chase the spotlight, you've been walking through shadows, preparing, and deep down, you've always known you were meant for more, even if you couldn't explain why. Another sign, cycles that repeat until you break free. You've probably felt stuck more than once, in jobs, relationships, or situations that drained you. It felt like you kept being reset, like your progress would build and then suddenly vanish. That wasn't failure. It was refinement. Spirit doesn't let chosen ones rise with unhealed wounds. Every delay was a detour back to your soul's healing. You might also notice your growth happened in silence. While others celebrated achievements publicly, your transformation was hidden. People didn't see the battles you fought, the spiritual awakenings, the breakdowns that led to breakthroughs, because delayed destiny happens in the dark. It's a private becoming before the public revealing. You've also experienced divine disconnection. People left your life suddenly. Doors closed that you were sure were meant for you. Plans fell apart. These were not rejections. These were reroutes. The wrong connections were removed, so the right ones could find you at the right time. One of the clearest signs is the speed of your growth. Once the delay begins to lift, you start to accelerate. Things that once took you years now happen in months. Alignment begins to flow. Your gifts sharpen. Your energy attracts different people. It's like your spirit is catching up to where it was always meant to be. And still, you carry a holy frustration. That inner knowing that you're behind, but not by your own doing. That tension between what you've lived through and what you know you're called to. That's the hallmark of a chosen one with a delayed timeline. The soul knows exactly where it should be, even when the body hasn't arrived yet. Don't resent the delay. It's evidence that your calling is so significant. It had to be protected. Spirit didn't want your gifts corrupted by premature exposure. You were hidden for a reason, not because you weren't ready to be seen, but because the world wasn't ready to see you clearly. So if this is you, know this: you are not lost. You are not late. You are on a sacred countdown. And when your time comes, everything will unfold quickly, precisely, and with power. You are walking in a delayed destiny, but not for long. Your moment is approaching, and the world will not be the same once you fully arrive. What the enemy saw, and why you were targeted early. Chosen one, you were never an ordinary soul. From the very beginning, there was something different about you, not just in the physical, but in the spiritual realm, and the enemy saw it before you did. That's why you were targeted early, not because you were weak, but because you were dangerous to darkness. You see, when you were born, your light disturbed the atmosphere. Your presence stirred something in the unseen realm. While others entered the world quietly, you arrived with spiritual weight. You carried codes, frequencies, gifts, and divine blueprints that hell could detect. Even if you were too young to understand it, the enemy did. And that's why it moved quickly. Before you even spoke your first words, your future was already being watched. The enemy doesn't wait until you grow up to attack. It strikes early. It tries to plant trauma in childhood, confusion in your identity, fear in your spirit. Why? Because if it can scar you early, it hopes to silence your calling before it can bloom. Some of you experienced intense pain before you were even old enough to fight back. Emotional abandonment, physical danger, abuse, neglect. You weren't born into safety. You were born into war. That's not random. That's a sign. Chosen ones are rarely born into ease. They are born into resistance because their purpose disrupts patterns. Your very existence threatened the system. The enemy saw what you were meant to become: a healer, a leader, a breaker of generational curses, a vessel of awakening. That kind of purpose is disruptive. It doesn't just bless your life, it changes the lives of others, and anything that threatens to wake people up will always be attacked. So, it tried to destroy you early. It tried to confuse your mind. It sent people into your life to break your spirit. It offered distractions, addictions, self-doubt, and endless chaos. Not because it didn't believe in you, but because it did. Because it saw your potential more clearly than you did. And it feared who you would become if you ever found out the truth. But here's the part that should shake the realm. All of that effort, all of that spiritual warfare, and still, you're here. You didn't die. You didn't lose your mind. You didn't forget who you are. In fact, every attack just confirmed what heaven already knew. You are chosen, covered, and powerful. The very fact that the enemy came after you so hard is the proof that you carry something that can't be replicated or replaced. Chosen one, the enemy is not afraid of who you were. It's afraid of who you're becoming. And despite everything, you are still becoming, still rising, still awakening. That's why the battle has felt relentless. That's why the resistance doesn't let up. Because your spiritual purpose is still active, and your delayed destiny is still on schedule. You've already overcome what many didn't. And now you're stepping into the awareness that you're not here to play small or stay silent. You're here to do damage to the dark. You're here to tear down strongholds, to speak truth, to bring healing where others only saw ruin. So never question why you were attacked so early. It's because your light was noticed. Your voice was dangerous. Your future was loud. And even though they tried to stop you, heaven refused. You are not a survivor by chance. You are a warrior by design. And now that you know the reason you were targeted, walk like someone who's already won. Because in the spirit, you have how to protect yourself now. Walking in spiritual awareness, chosen one. Now that you know why you were targeted and how you escaped death more than once, it's time to talk about what comes next. Survival is just the beginning. Awakening is the turning point. But protection, intentional, daily spiritual protection, is what sustains you from this point forward. You can no longer afford to move through life unconsciously. Your light is too loud now. Your vibration too high. You've been noticed in the spirit. So the same way warriors prepare for battle, you must now live with spiritual awareness, not fear awareness. Because awareness is your armor. Spiritual protection doesn't mean hiding. It means aligning. It means being in tune with what strengthens you and staying far from what drains you. You've already seen how your energy reacts to certain people and places. Listen to that. Your body knows. Your spirit speaks. That uneasiness, that random exhaustion around certain people, that sudden heaviness in a room, that's not imagination. That's discernment. That's your internal protection system warning you. The first way to guard yourself is to honor your energy. You're no longer someone who can carelessly expose yourself to chaos, gossip, low vibrations, or environments that numb your soul. You are sensitive for a reason. That sensitivity is a gift. And now, it's your shield. Protect your peace like it's sacred ground. Because it is. Chosen ones must also become selective about who they allow access to their presence. Not everyone deserves to sit at your table. Just because someone is close to you doesn't mean they're aligned with you. Some people carry spiritual residue that clouds your clarity. Others unconsciously drain you because they haven't done the work you've done. That's not judgment. It's spiritual responsibility. You're not better than them. You're just carrying a different weight now. And weight requires boundaries. Another layer of protection is spiritual discipline. Meditation, prayer, fasting, journaling, silence. They are not just practices. They are your weapons. They cleanse your field. They bring your frequency back into divine alignment. You don't do them to be religious. You do them because you understand warfare. You know what it feels like when your energy is off. You've seen what happens when you let your guard down. Never forget that your spirit thrives on consistency. It doesn't need perfection, just presence. There will be times when attacks try to return. Doubt, distraction, temptation. Sudden chaos. But now you know what to look for. You've been trained by your experiences. You've been taught by your pain. And you're no longer available to anything that pulls you away from your purpose. Also remember, your words carry power. Speak life over yourself. Declare protection over your mind, your body, your path. The spiritual realm responds to the voice of the aware. You've already seen how your thoughts shape reality. Now let your words build a shield around your destiny. And above all else, walk with awareness of who you are. You are not ordinary. You are not random. You are chosen. Your life has already defied the odds. That means the enemy knows your name, but so does heaven. So does your spiritual team. You are not walking alone. You are walking watched, covered, guarded. From now on, don't just exist. Move with intention. Decide where your energy goes. Choose silence when necessary. Trust your intuition, and never again ignore the signals your spirit sends you, because protection is no longer just something that happens to you. It's something you activate by how you live, who you become after these escapes. A chosen vessel awakened, chosen one. When you've escaped death not once, not twice, but multiple times, you don't come out of it the same. You don't return to the world with the same eyes, the same heart, or the same silence. You become someone new, not because you wanted to, but because your spirit was transformed in the fire. You were broken open and remade. You became something holy, a chosen vessel, awakened. You don't need anyone to tell you you've changed. You feel it. You carry yourself differently. Your thoughts are deeper. You speak less, but say more. And most of all, you see through things now, through people, through situations, through illusions. That's not because you're jaded. It's because you're awake. After these escapes, you realize life isn't random. Everything has meaning. Every delay, every betrayal, every heartbreak, it all becomes part of your training. You don't see yourself as a victim anymore. You see yourself as called, as prepared, as someone who was purified by pain, not destroyed by it. You're not impressed by status or surface anymore. You're moved by authenticity, truth, and energy. You no longer chase what others chase, and you don't care if they understand your silence, because you know what it cost you to become this version of yourself. It cost you illusions. It cost you innocence. It cost you comfort. But in exchange, you gained clarity, purpose, power. And now you walk differently. You know that your presence shifts the atmosphere. People feel something when you enter a room, even if they can't explain it. Some are drawn to you. Some are unsettled by you. That's because you carry something ancient, something divine. You are marked, not by the world, but by spirit. You are no longer asleep. You don't need external validation anymore. You've had confirmation from heaven itself. You were pulled from the edge. You were spared when you weren't even praying. You were protected in the darkest hours of your life. And that knowing lives in your bones now. That's why you carry peace in chaos. That's why you move with a quiet boldness. That's why you don't fold when the pressure rises. This is what it means to be a vessel. You don't just exist for yourself. You carry something for others. You hold frequency. You hold wisdom. You hold healing. And the reason your life was preserved is because this world still needs what you carry. You've become a mirror for others to see themselves. A light that calls people out of darkness. A signpost for those who are lost. Not because you're perfect, but because you've been through what most people hide. You know what it means to want to give up. You know what it means to be pulled back from the brink. And that's what gives you your authority. You are no longer just someone trying to survive. You are someone who walks in assignment. And though you may still have questions, one thing is clear. You were chosen, not just to escape death, but to awaken life in others. So when you wonder who you've become, after all the storms, look in the mirror and remember this: you are a living prophecy. You are the proof of divine protection. You are a vessel, awakened, refined, and ready. And now it's your time to walk as one who knows exactly why they're still alive. A message for those still confused: you didn't imagine this. Chosen one, I see you. The one still wondering, did that really happen? Am I just overthinking it? Maybe I'm being dramatic. You've replayed those moments in your head, the close calls, the strange escapes, the way everything seemed aligned to protect you. And yet, doubt still lingers. Let me tell you something with full authority. You didn't imagine this. What you've lived through was real. The threats were real. The protection was real. The timing, the interventions, the quiet nudges in your spirit that pulled you away from disaster. They weren't just lucky coincidences. They were sacred movements. They were heaven's fingerprints on your life. They were proof that your spirit was never alone. Confusion is common when you've been touched by the spiritual realm, but raised in a world that teaches you to ignore it. The world told you to be logical, rational, explain everything, but your soul has always been speaking another language. That's why you feel torn, because your inner knowing is louder than your mind's doubt. If you've ever said to yourself, "Something saved me, but I don't know what," that's confirmation. If you've ever felt like your life was paused just long enough to avoid tragedy, that's confirmation. If you've ever woken up and felt like a different person after something nearly killed you, that's spiritual transformation. That's evidence. Chosen ones often wrestle with disbelief because what they experience doesn't fit the mold. But you weren't meant to fit the mold. You were meant to break it. You were meant to awaken slowly, then all at once. And if this message resonates with even a fraction of your soul, then know this: your journey has not been random. It's been divinely ordered. Even your confusion is part of the path. It humbles you. It keeps you searching. It opens you to truth when it finally arrives. And now it has. You're not late. You're not crazy. You're not making things up. You're awakening. And like every chosen one before you, there comes a time when you stop doubting your path and start walking in it. So breathe. Be still. Let this truth settle into your bones. You were protected because you are purposed. You are still here because something greater isn't finished with you yet. And if you're still unsure, let me remind you, even doubt can't stop destiny. Your life has always meant more than you were told. And now it's time to remember who you are. Final prophetic word. Your life was delayed, not denied. Chosen one, hear this clearly. Your life was never denied. It was delayed on purpose, with precision, for reasons only heaven could fully understand at the time. You didn't miss your calling. You didn't fail your mission. You weren't forgotten. You were being protected while everything was being aligned. There are some things that can't be rushed. Some assignments so heavy, so sacred, that the timing has to be divinely orchestrated. That's your life. That's your story. You weren't being punished. You were being preserved. You weren't being overlooked. You were being trained. Your wilderness wasn't a void. It was a womb, a hidden place where heaven kept you safe until the time was right. This is why you felt the frustration, why you cried out, why you questioned whether you were cursed or broken, because the delay can feel like death when you don't understand it. But now you do. Now your eyes are opening. You're beginning to see that your delay was part of the proof that you are chosen. Some of the people who ran ahead of you burned out early. Some doors you tried to force would have destroyed you. Some of the relationships you begged to keep would have contaminated your spirit. The delay was love. The delay was protection. The delay was destiny making room for your true arrival. And now the delay is lifting. You feel it already, don't you? That stirring in your chest. That soft pressure from the inside out. That sense that something is about to shift. It is. Your time has not passed. It's catching up to you. And when it arrives, it will move fast. Because delayed destiny comes with divine acceleration. Everything you lost will be restored in better form. Everything you learned in the dark will now guide others to the light. Everything that tried to destroy you will become fuel for your fire. Chosen one, the enemy tried 3 times or more to take you out, but you're still breathing, still watching, still hearing these words. That alone should shake the spirit realm. Now it's your turn to walk as the one who was held back for heaven's sake. Your story isn't over. It's just beginning, and the world hasn't seen the fullness of who you are yet. Let this final word seal something in your spirit. You were delayed but never denied. You were hidden but never forgotten. You were broken, but now you rise whole, and you will finish what you were born to.